welcome to another analysis VOD. I am Rams1NF, and these VODs will be uploaded to YouTube after I am finished, and I'm going to be doing 4 games per stream, then splitting those up into individual videos. I'm going to be doing the Allied Esports Las Vegas Minor that just happened over the weekend, and I'll be labeling the VODs as I go. So the first thing that I want to say is that the Swiss group stage was actually a great success when it comes to the way that the matches were played. And there is definitely a lot to talk about, and there's a lot of games to go over. So it's going to take me probably a week and a half to get through the entire tournament if I'm doing 4 games per day. But when it comes to best of 3 matches, which is the quarterfinals and onward, it's going to probably take me, I'll probably do 2 matches a day, but during the group stages, which is a Swiss style, I will be doing 4 games per day. So the first game we're going to be watching is going to be Ninjas in Pajamas versus LeStream, I believe.
Do his thing. Right. But Julio and Pino can't just sit back and watch. They've got to step up. They've got to do it. And
so let's get right into it pretty much.
Practicing, they're going to be able to do that. Now, all the beautiful people in the chat.
Yeah, Ninjas in Pajamas versus Stream, then whatever match comes next. Not every match was played on the main stream because there's so many matches to go through. But LeStream obviously made it to the finals. They had a great showing in the tournament. Secret ended up winning the tournament, and there's a lot to talk about for a lot of matches. There's, as you'll see once we get into it. Let's just skip forward to the banning. So the first map being Clubhouse. When it comes to the pick and bans on Clubhouse, you want to get rid of a hard breach. They opted to choose Maverick. This will give both teams the ability to actually keep the server wall closed when they're defending cache. They got rid of Twitch. I'm not exactly sure what the point of getting rid of Twitch was at this stage. Getting rid of Valkyrie is another good one. I'm surprised they didn't want to get rid of Maestro or Echo, but getting rid of Mira also weakens the cache defense. So they're doing 2 things here. Both teams have strengthened their cache room defense by getting rid of Maverick, and they have also strengthened the bottom floor, Church and Armory. But they've also weakened both of those sites in a different way by banning Mira and Valkyrie. So let's see. Op selections, they don't need an IQ because there's no Valkyrie. Echo and Maestro both being brought. Makes sense. First defensive site, Church and Armory. So pretty much the defense is going to want to anchor down inside of Church while trying to keep the hatch in kitchen closed. And then they're going to be playing inside of blue with a rotation. This is going to be a pretty standard setup, I do believe. But the attackers are going to want to open as many hatches as possible and probably try to open up the Church wall. And depending on the way the defense decides to play it, usually you have defenders playing... yeah, Dauntless, that's a good point. Probably to protect their Maestro cameras and Echo drones and any other ADSs, because they're going to need ADSs to be holding down blue. So that is a good point. Good observation. Okay. So Legion's already dead. I'm trying to figure out... I want to know where he was playing. That's a good pick to get, though, because now they won't have to worry about Legion mines later in the rounds, depending on where the first 2 were placed. Usually by the time the prep phase comes around, you have 2 Legion mines set, and then you're waiting for the rest of them to go. And the defense is still setting up, and that shield there is because they anticipate that the Church wall will eventually get opened up with no mute or bandit in play. So basically, So basically, the attackers, once they've determined that the top floor is clear and that can be established based on pre-placed drones, they cut off blue staircase and they cut off main staircase. They know they can't get flanked, and then they just start pushing the site, opening hatches.
This early. Now you've got, like I was telling you before, Julio, Pino, who's going to step up and be able to make this round a NIP round? Putting things down with Jaeger. He's going to be one of the roamers. As Rise takes out
All right, Rise picks up another kill. They have the top of church wall open to potentially throw smokes or impacts to try to keep the wall closed. But right now, they don't have any impacts left on the board, so they're going to have to hunker down and just wait for the attackers. Capital off the board, so there's no smokes or fire arrows to displace Muzi playing inside of blue.
Yes, but Ninjas and Pajamas, you have Echo, you have Maestro, two of the best defenders out there. Echo has plant denial. Maestro has an amazing gun. The evil eye is out of control. Is out of this world.
So right now, let's look at the defenders' positioning. Maestro's playing inside of Armory. Echo's playing inside of Church, and Jaeger's playing inside of Blue. In a 4v3 scenario, what the attackers need to do is they need to isolate one of these. Depending on if they can get the kitchen hatch open, they would isolate Maestro and try to kill him. If they can get the church wall open, they isolate Echo and put a lot of pressure on Jaeger as long as somebody is pushing Blue, which someone definitely will be. But once they isolate a defender, all they have to do is push the site, push whichever site they want to, Church or Armory. So let's just see how this works. Thatcher's playing above Moto Hatch. Buck looks like he's down the stairs at the church wall. Oh no, not yet. That was Echo. I saw that outline.
Because the thing is, if you push it now, Julio, he's going to go ahead and stun you with the yokai drone. They have no idea where that drone is right now, but the diffuser is currently being planted. See the evil.
All right, so Ace is pushing dirt. Thatcher is pushing Moto door, and then they have to have one in the hallway and one planting. Thermite is planting, but where was he planting? I just don't know the exact positioning of the plant. He had to have dropped back Armory.
I can't imagine that there's going to be a situation where he's going to be able to clutch this out.
Yeah, K does not ban this match, Dauntless.
He has players all around him. You see the drone war coming out. They're pinging players. He knows where they are. But the 3-speed operator. Let's see if he can go ahead and make something happen. I don't imagine that there's some situation where
there really isn't anything that Maestro can do here. So this is definitely a win for LeStream here. There's not even time to stop the defuse, so it doesn't matter even if Pino can pick up all the kills.
There you have it. They're going to go ahead and win round one. You hear the yells on stage. The Euros on top already.
So with the way that the defenders were positioned, they were in good position to potentially go for a refrag. But with what I'm assuming, I don't know if the kitchen hatch actually got opened, but Buck could have just bucked open the wall at the bottom of the stairs so that Thermite could get into the west side of Armory. And then once Hibana is inside of dirt, because they are going to bring 2 hard breachers on attack every single time. Thermite and Hibana are probably going to be brought every attack by both teams. That cuts off a lot of Maestro's rotation, and he doesn't have that freedom to really do much. So obviously, with either Echo drones, which are actually both destroyed at this point, but the Maestro cams in position are definitely going to be calling out where the plant's going down. And as Jaeger and Echo tried to rotate, angles were already being held to stop them from rotating. And that's pretty much what happened there. The attackers just figured out what angles they needed to hold to cut off the defenders' rotations, and then they went for the plant appropriately. So it would be one covering blue hatch, one either in Moto or at least just above Moto hatch, and that with a timed push, and then Hibana inside of dirt and Thermite planting. But most likely, Buck was watching the hallway if he opened up the wall. Thatcher was above Blue Hatch, and then or pushing Church. It's kind of hard to say because the spectator didn't really flip through everyone quickly.
Ask you about Psycho's mentality. When you have a situation where you're supposed to be the guy, like, just as I say that, we end up seeing somebody.
Okay, so that was actually a better trade for the attackers than it was for the defenders, because the pulse down below was going to be really big if the attackers can open up the wall, which they definitely will. They'll use the Capital bolts to displace Bandit, the Thatcher to get the bandits off the wall, and Thermite and Hibana either at the same time or one at a time can open the wall. With Buck off the board, you might think that not having grenades is enough to continue to Bandit juggle, but in this situation it's not. Julio does have a C4 though, so if they do have some kind of Maestro camera in position to see where the plant's going down, he could potentially stop it. But as you can see, the Capital bolt to displace Bandit. Bandit moves down and goes to play downstairs. Thermite's outside of the wall. The hole is opened up in the bottom of the garage to prevent the player inside of garage from rotating back into server for safety. And then the other two attackers are going to try to figure out if they can get bottom floor control. With Pulse dead, they might not apply enough pressure bottom floor, but we'll just see how this plays out. So obviously they want to get rid of Maestro. If they can get rid of Maestro, that's a huge kill. Getting rid of Maestro and Smoke right now are their biggest kills. Thatcher peeking the wall. Thermite also outside the wall droning. Flash is coming in to burn an ADS, and they just want to make sure that Maestro does not rotate back into server. Bandit's going to be playing on main stairs, watching the run-in. Can potentially stop it with the C4. And then Smoke is going to be playing in construction with holes, or not construction, in cash room with holes to watch and throw smokes through into server, because they know that the plant's most likely going to go down in server. So there we go. Maestro eventually does get killed because he has nowhere to go. He just is eventually, he's going to get pinched from two sides. He has no angles. And Jaeger gets killed, but we're not sure from where. Most likely he was trying to rotate either downstairs or... Yeah, his dead body's right there. He was trying to rotate into garage. Julio right now... Okay, hold on. Let's talk about why Julio is playing so stagnant. So Julio is downstairs. He has a C4 in hand. He's playing stagnant while Kamikaze tries to delay the plant as long as he can. It's possible for the defenders to win this round with a man down if they can stop the plant from going down, as long as the attackers don't double up and push either of them and try to plant in a location that the defenders have no vision of. But Hicks is going to take down Kamikaze, and the defenders are going to push in. Unfortunately, you know, LeStream had their bases covered. They doubled up and made sure that they were in position for a trade and ended up just getting both kills.
Able to get a plan in round one, able to out-frag the opposing team round two. I mean, if they keep it up, they're going to create a type of momentum that's going to be hard to stop. And it's not the kind of frag trades that you would normally think. Like, if it was Psycho for aces, maybe that would be something that we would be okay with. But right now, they've got to go back in the tank and say, look, what we've done these last two rounds, it ain't working. It is not working.
Let's try to skip forward a little bit so that we're not, you know, just watching them talk the whole time. All right, so Ninjas in Pajamas go back downstairs. What is happening here? There we go. I just want it to be full screen. So Ninjas in Pajamas go back downstairs. LeStream brings the exact same lineup. It is probably going to push the exact same way, so it's going to be up to Nip to figure out how they can stop it. So Psycho was playing on the main stairs before, and that's how he fell so early. They have an Echo Drone in the bar, which I think that they might have had earlier. I highly doubt... Oh, nice shot. I highly doubt Now that Thatcher's gone, that's actually one of the biggest picks that they could have had for the defenders, because even though they can probably still open up the walls, it's going to be more difficult for them to displace Jaeger inside of blue. But at the same time, they still have Capital to do that job. So with 5 defenders all downstairs at this point, and Psycho staying alive as long as possible, he's the operator that you want to stay alive the longest, along with Smoke, because he can. That's when his utility is most effective at the end of a round. So Hibana's going to try to open up these hatches, but we're just going to have to see if the defenders have anyone in place to impact trick it, which it doesn't look like they do at the moment, because... Oh, they do actually. Kamikaze is playing in there with holes open, and he can go for it. He can go for the impact, but they're watching. This actually looks a lot worse for Nip because of how much is being opened up. So see, this is what they did before. Buck opened up this wall so that Thermite could come from the main stairs and get in. Aces is still pushing dirt, and they probably want him to burn his, use his flashbangs before they actually go for the plant, because right now, LeStream is getting in position to plant. They're getting ready to go for the execute. So Hibana's probably going to push dirt again. They couldn't keep the kitchen hatch closed, so now Buck is going to play above the kitchen hatch. That's the best place for him to play because he's such low health, but it's also because they need someone up there. Now the defenders are waiting because they don't know what angles the attackers are actually holding to prevent their rotations, but the most common angles are going to be dirt, looking all the way towards blue door, and any rotations they have in blue, main hallway, so that no one can cross from church, and then from the hatch watching above the plant. So pretty much, because they don't have Thatcher to watch Moto, it kind of leaves their side hallway exposed. But based on the positioning of Nip, they still have most likely an Echo drone up, 2 Maestro cameras. I imagine they still have at least 2 smokes, and there's going to be Legion mines placed to make sure that their back is covered and they have as much intel as possible. So let's just see how this is played out, because if Maestro dies, that's going to put a lot of pressure on Smoke, and Jaeger's going to have to try to rotate, but depending on where the attackers are looking, his rotation might just be walking right into a pre-fire.
NIP again, they're feeling very confident. We talked about this at the beginning. There's always that period of time where you're like, all right, we're about 30 seconds. We're not going to push yet. Are we going to push? Is it going to be 15 seconds? Is it going to be... What is
okay, so they're rotating Buck.
It's 4-4.
Smoke dies inside dirt. They rotated Buck so that Capital can use his smokes to cover the plant.
But odds even with 20 seconds left, usually it's going to favor the defense. Take a look at this. Yokai
Buck is definitely going to go down. And now because of the... Yep, this makes sense. The way that they're pushing makes complete sense here. Psycho's going to go up main stairs to try to get control of the hatch. Aces is going to get that 1. But Julio still probably has an Echo drone. Yeah. So Nip played that well, knowing that they had a man up. The attackers couldn't cover all of the rotational angles, and like I said, that side hallway going into Moto towards the main hall played a key factor there, because Jaeger and Legion were both able to rotate into the main hall without anyone looking. Because if Thermite and Capital are above the hatch, and Thermite drops, one pushes dirt, and Buck dies trying to push Moto, which Buck didn't need to push Moto there. He was trying to cause a distraction so that the plant could go down, but he didn't need to push right at that moment. Because if you think about it, if he just waits above that hatch while the rest of the attackers do exactly what they did, he gets at least 1 free kill and can apply pressure a little bit stronger. So now Nip changing out one of their operators. Instead of Pulse, they're going to bring Mute. Still has a C4 to deny plant, but also denies a lot of intel for the attackers. And depending on where his mute jammers are positioned, Thatcher might not be able to get rid of any of them, because he's going to be focused on trying to get rid of the bandit juggle on the wall.
This is not something where they're just like, oh, this map is just horrid for us.
Well, honestly, if there's an extra reinforcement after you've pretty much reinforced church walls, dirt, and 3 hatches, and you're not putting a wall on blue, I would reinforce that wall. Because if you can't keep the kitchen hatch closed, that's of course what the attackers are going to do. They're going to want to open up that wall and go for a plant. It just depends on your allocation of reinforcements and the kind of defensive style you want to have. Like, if you're going to try to play someone in the back side of Armory, like on the west side to anchor, you want that wall reinforced. But if you're not going to play anyone there because you don't want them to be exposed to Buck, you know. I remember seeing the highlight of this round. This is just LeStream going for a strong push up the main stairs, and it just gets shut down because Smoke with a shotgun is playing on the main stairs. Like, I don't even think they have the wall open. There's really nothing to analyze in this round because Nip is just playing it standard, and LeStream went for something absurd and got trashed. But back to that wall. If you're trying to play someone on the west side of Armory, you should have that wall reinforced. Otherwise, they're just going to get wall banged from the hallway and pinned down by Buck. So, you know, it's situationally dependent. Because if you're not able to keep the kitchen hatch closed, you can still rotate as a defender through that wall if you have an extra impact, or at least to create a line of sight. So, like, if you have Cade, for example, this is a very situational example, but if you have Cade and the attackers don't bring a Thatcher, and you keep the moto hatch and the blue hatch closed using the Cades, the attackers are going to open up dirt and kitchen. And if you have that wall reinforced, you're helping the attackers. But if you leave it unreinforced, you have the opportunity to wall bang through there or create lines of sight to the west side of Armory, which is where the plant would most likely go down if, you know, if the moto hatch and blue hatch are still closed.
Well, and LeStream's going to be checking themselves too. They're asking themselves right now, are we actually better than this team? Is this a team that maybe made some mistakes and we just took
So, moving towards master bedroom and gym, impact tricking this wall is going to be important. Kamikaze will most likely be playing aggressively at this hatch. There are some angles that are very dangerous for attackers to peek, and that hatch might seem like it's something easy to do. But the attackers are first going to want to establish control of server to try to prevent any defenders from playing inside of there, because if the defense has control of server, you can't push the balcony, which is where the main focus of the attack is going to come from. Along with opening up that wall by Jim. So with that breach charge there, it leaves the defenders in a position where they don't know if they can push there, because someone could be just repelling out there and cutting off rotation. But as you can see, the attackers are very preoccupied with server because they know they don't have a body in there to watch it. And obviously, Zofia is now dead. So what this does, because LeStream didn't take control of cache and server, they lose their Zofia. Zofia was the only operator in the attacking lineup that could get rid of those castles and displace Bandit other than Capitao. But Capitao's not enough from this position, especially not with the castles beat down. So what that does is that forces Hibana to have to use her utility to open up the castles. Still, with nobody playing inside a server for the attackers, they don't have any control of the balcony. Outside of Master, so she's never really in a good position to not, get killed the exact same way that Castle just killed Zofia. And Bandit can continue to just waste time. So this is looking really good for Nip. I was going to say I've seen some teams leave it soft, deny Church Wall or West Army, but it's more of it just happened that way. I don't think it was part of the strat. Yeah, that wall is a lot more important than a lot of people think it is for multiple reasons, like we've been discussing. But up the quality of the. Okay, here, hold on a second. Up the quality. Let's do that. Hopefully that will do the trick.
Dream's gonna go out early. That has to hurt for Corey because he's got a lot to.
So right now, Julio's just going to sit here and waste as much time as possible. And the attackers are trying to open up as many avenues to attack so that they can spread the defenders out. Obviously we saw Kamikaze playing here before, and now because Zofia is gone and they don't want to waste so much utility opening the hatches, I'm actually really surprised that he's able to sneak up here like this, because how is there no barbed wire?
Oh my God! All of a sudden, NIP is just folded like a lawn chair. All 4 down.
Yeah.
1v4.
Nip thought that since they couldn't, probably knew that LeStream couldn't open up the castles, that they won the round, and they were just watching all sorts of different things, like way too spread out.
They're gonna have to go for a prayer on this one. Yeah, I mean, there's not too many prayers that are gonna be answered here. It is Vegas.
That is rough for Nip right there.
I do not think I wouldn't put money on this. Don't put your money on this one for Muzi. Not at all. But taking his time. He has some shots coming his way, so the intel has been gathered. Everybody knows where he is.
Yeah, there's no way.
Right into strip clubs, gonna try to hide in here, but he really doesn't have anything to do. The time's running out fast. You're gonna have to kill 4 people to get to that diffuser. Time's running out. This is the L waiting to happen. Yeah, it's just a matter of time. The guys running the drone at him. Like, LeStream Esports, they know they have this round in the wrap, so it's gonna be 3-2 heading into the next round. That 3-2 for LeStream. Now they didn't have enough.
Yeah, I don't really know what Nip was thinking there. Their thought process was that if they have positive control of server and the wall's still closed, there's no reason to even watch the main stairs. But obviously Rise made the play. And there was one in logistics. You just saw Smoke sitting in the corner, but Thatcher was holding the angle from the hatch on him so that he couldn't rotate. That's rough. That's a rough round. I'm going to be right back. I need to use the bathroom. All right. So let's just see what the next round turns into, because I'm pretty sure the defenders are going to go back downstairs. No, they're going to go. Yeah, so they won cash and they just won, and they just played Masters. So they could go back downstairs if they want. Yep, they're back downstairs. And LeStream is bringing Nomad instead of Buck, which I think that the reason LeStream brought Nomad here instead of Buck, because it doesn't make much sense, but I think that they thought that Nip might go back to Master. Because that would make sense. Like, if you Like you don't need Buck to attack Master per se, and Nomad would help with the flank watch inside of server. So I think that LeStream thought that Nip was going to go back to Master. They did not, but depending on where the Nomads get placed, it could, work out. Obviously, contingency plan breach charges were brought for Kitchen, so Nomad is still going to accomplish the same task that Buck was trying to do, but now with the Nomad air jabs, it'll prevent defender rotation depending on their placement.
Psycho. He's going to be roaming with Legion. Do a trap down, but he's going to rotate back towards his teammates. See Kamikaze prepping, actually waiting for kitchen control to happen for them to try to get rid of that hatch. He still has all of his utility, which is a major plus. So coming into the 2-minute mark, you have most of LeStream now finding their way inside of Clubhouse. I think right now LeStream has to feel very comfortable about what's going on. They've got their entire team. They've lost pretty much no health at all.
So right now, LeStream is trying to open up kitchen hatch. They just want that open 100%. You know that no matter what, they're going to open up Moto hatch, blue hatch, and dirt. So if they can open kitchen hatch, then that's good. Otherwise, they need to try to open church wall. So a Claymore being placed on the ladder flank. And the defender's just waiting. The defenders are literally just waiting to see what the attackers actually try to do. So here we go. Stopping that rotation there. And different holes being opened to have lines of sight. Pre-placed echo drones, smoke playing in dirt to delay time. Makes sense. And Julio just trying to play as safe as possible because his echo drones are going to be the most important defensive utility now that there's less than a minute left. And the attackers haven't actually gotten any kills. 5v5, that's the key point. In a 5v5 with less than a minute left, the echo drones are the most important utility. With smokes being next, and then Maestro cameras. This doesn't look good for LeStream. They can't push.
25 seconds. Everybody's internal clock is just screaming right now.
But they have to try. Like, they have to try to push in. Both hard breaches down.
Getting a headshot on Ace. Pino's going to get one as well, leaving LeStream in a 4v2 with 6 seconds left to go. Here's 5.
Yeah. The defenders were just spread out to the point where the attackers didn't really know where to look for them. They would always have to look in 2 different directions minus dirt to get multiple frags as individuals. So pretty much LeStream stalled out there, and Nip just played time, which is what you're supposed to do. There's nothing too out of the ordinary there. They couldn't open up the kitchen hatch. They didn't have Buck to throw grenades to potentially displace, and they didn't even try to use any utility anywhere else that I could see.
He was able to run in the tunnel and get that kill, which was pretty big, leaving Armory extremely safe in his hands. He had no threat coming to kitchen, which was really big. So Kamikaze really held things down as the support player for NIP. Yeah, I'm very happy to have stopped that bleeding when they went 0-2 and be able to make that 3-3. But now you're going to have to deal with the unbridled aggression.
So once again, oh no, actually, this is Ninjas and Pajamas on attack now. Halftime switches over. And Cade being brought instead of Maestro or Echo, and Pulse being brought. So, see, look, LeStream reinforces that wall. And they're probably going to have Pulse playing the west side of Armory. Because that's the place that makes the most sense. Sledge being brought instead of Buck, a little bit more versatile if you think about it, because of the amount of destruction that Sledge can cause is actually more than Buck, but Buck is usually brought because of how quickly he can destroy things. But we'll just see what changes and how Nip decide to attack this. So right now, Ace is playing by main stairs. Rise is pulsing around looking for anybody that he can find to try to give his team any intel. And then the rest of the team, like Hicks, is playing in a K9 spot or in near blue, probably waiting to throw a Cade up to destroy some of the hard breach. And then Smoke is playing inside a church to deny with impact grenades. So LeStream is pretty well set up here.
But with Pulse, Rise, he's going to be able to detect heartbeats and call out where attackers are coming from. But this is not the first time we see Kai in play. We see him Kai tricking.
That's actually pretty interesting to see. It's a good spot.
Taking their time. There's nobody. All 10 operators are up. We're going to get into that 2 minute. This is a little bit different than what we saw when roles were reversed. Yeah. You hear the group minds going off. That means Aces, he actually knows where the intel is coming from. He knows where the attackers are coming from. So let's see if this defense actually holds up. We're now below the 2 minute mark, and the first guy is going to go down. It's going to be a player from NIP. It's going to be Muzi. Yeah, and
that's good teamwork there from LeStream. Keeping tabs on where the attackers are. Psycho does pick up a kill onto Corey in Garage. So what's holding Nip up here is the fact that Jaeger was playing off-site in Garage. And that's, you know, good for LeStream because they don't have as much control as they need at the moment.
They're going to just stop and take a breath for a second. It's about a minute. I can't imagine that we would see a push any sooner than maybe 30 seconds. Right? Trying to combat the Kai tricks. You see Kamikaze utilizing a hard breach. Go ahead and get rid of this hatch. And Bar is going to open things up and almost getting the kill.
So they force Cade out.
They've got Hicks and Psycho in this right about that 25% life. Yeah, so less than a minute now.
They should have blue open at this point. They're not putting any pressure on dirt, so their attack is obviously going to go through church. They just have to kill this player inside of blue, and then they can open church wall. If they have control of blue, they can pinch. If they don't have control of blue, they're just running through a thermite hole and a doorway.
One shot is going to make this difference as we get towards that 20-second mark. 20-second mark coming in. That means that the opponents getting into the side is going to be more than that. And Pino.
Nice shot.
Sneak in and get a kill on hit. Even a 4v3.
So now Pino has to push in, even though he doesn't have the diffuser. They have control of church. They got control of blue. The planter has been downed.
A 3v2 for NIP. Even do a 2v2. Here we go. The diffuser's down. He's gonna have to my. When you talk about cutting it close. They played it perfect, man.
That was well played by LeStream.
They were able to be patient, call out the intel, and get the kills.
Nip had control, but the wrong operator had the diffuser. If Hibana would have had the diffuser, they would have won the round, I think.
For NIP. It felt like there was just the sense of urgency wasn't there. It was hard to get in there with the position that they were in.
So the round played out the way that it was supposed to, based on what the attackers had open. They were able to open church, and they were able to open Moto Hatch. They didn't have anything else open. They didn't spread the defenders. They didn't spread the defenders out enough to isolate them into 1v1s and 2v1s for trades. Even though the round looked very close towards the end based on numbers, LeStream had the upper hand for the gunfights because Nip only had to watch one direction pretty much, other than Sledge pushing down blue. Nip only had to look, or excuse me, LeStream only had to look in one direction.
So now we have a Fama utilizing Echo, so that's going to be pretty important. You have Corey utilizing Smoke, so those are going to be two great defenders when it comes to stopping the attack coming in the site. You also have a ton of planting now with both these characters. You have Kai, his gun is absolutely phenomenal. You get hit with it once and pretty much does the damage.
But yeah, this seems to be as of right now, the Twitch ban seems to be so that LeStream can play Cade safely and to take a powerful gun off the board for the attackers.
In this tournament, we're not having unlimited overtime. And if NIP is going to ends up being much better on offense, that could just be a losing proposition if you end up in overtime for LeStream. Let's finish it out.
Yeah. So you have Capital in play with that LMG. You love to see it. Pino moving in the balcony. He's going to go ahead and get through this wall, utilizing a simple breach charge. He's going to find his way in the clubhouse. So slowly but surely, you have NIP
Oh, that's cheeky.
finding their way inside of the building.
That's very cheeky, actually.
You have a lot of traffic,
Having a hole to
coming
throw the
in
Cade
garage,
through from
it's gonna
below.
be Corey's job to really hold
That's
this
cheeky,
down.
and he can open more of it if he needs to with the shotgun.
They're not making any kind of crazy moves here. I like what I'm seeing, but they still have to, again, not be dilly-dallying with it. Not be just too patient. You still have to...
Capital off the board's huge there.
That they could be fragged at any moment.
I really love what I see.
Without Capital's utility, it's going to be much more difficult to open the wall with Cade and Bandit both playing it.
You know, he's doing a ton of work for LeStream right now. A lot of dirty work, and is helping his team. Is coming up big in his favor. So he's going to be the one that takes out sites.
They do have the bottom of the garage open,
When it comes to clearing out sites and areas.
and they actually do have server open. So the attackers were able to open it.
To play sensational, and if he continues to take out Psycho, that is going to handicap the ninjas, because when you cut off the head of the snake, the rest of the body dies.
And Julio, he's sitting there
I'm kind of surprised that
right now, so it's not looking too good right now.
that Nip isn't trying to take more control of garage.
Site, but coming down to a minute
But they don't exactly have the utility to do it,
Still looking strong.
because
Very, very
Capital's off the board. They can maybe Zofia, but if they don't have control of Lounge, they're going to get shot from down below, which they know is going to happen.
3v2 because Julio's sitting on 25%. It is very rough, and this isn't something that you now normally boot camp for. This isn't something you normally practice for, but at least they can now make it a 4v4 and have a little bit of life if they can get lucky. And maybe
So Julio killed Rise. Rise tried to run out. Hicks is still down below
Finally gets taken down.
and could maintain garage control. Oh, nice shooting. Nice shooting. That's great timing. And now Hicks is going to retreat. This is exactly what he needs to do, because it's too late in the round for Nip to drone and make sure that that's clear.
and that would have just been backbreaking, but it is now 3v3.
So Smoke dies. They have garage control. All right, let's talk about this real quick. So right at this moment, Ninjas and Pajamas has everything they need to win the round, except for time. So Pino has control of garage, and there is one attacker outside to hold the angle of the cross and one attacker to plant. So Echo drones are going to be in position to stop the plant. Hicks is going to cover main stairs, and it looks like Aces is going to play a C4 from below. So let's just see how this plays out. Because the attackers can win this round, but the defenders should win it based on time. But now Bandit's gone, so no C4. Hicks is going to win it, but Kamikaze's going to trade. And now, because of the time constraint, they have to push, because they don't want to fall victim to an Echo. And so the push and the trades were going to win them that round. Well played.
Psycho didn't finish. That is showing the consistency that we need to see to be able to make sure that other guys are going to be able to step up and get these victories when they're needed. And this was so essential. Being able to be at 4-4 instead of 5-3, excellent.
Kamikaze stepped up big time this entire game. This entire
We got to talk about him.
I mean,
Got to talk about him.
yeah, on the stat line, like I said, stats aren't really everything, but a lot of people like to harp on it. You know, being a hard breacher support player, you're not expected to really go out and frag out. That's not your job. Your job is to play objective, open up walls and whatnot.
All right, they're talking way too much in between rounds. Like, I just want to get to the next round.
This information is so key. It's just when
So now,
we see NIP
a shield being brought from Nip,
they're being able to
most likely to try to help them get full control of garage quicker, because they almost lost the round because they didn't have control of garage.
doing what he had to do and get that victory for NIP.
I mean, Julio played it extremely smart. So
Aces is still playing on the wall. Hicks is still playing in garage. I think he's gonna actively try to stop the thermite charge, but got distracted by a drone. So wall still gets opened up. This round is pretty much going to be playing out the same way we saw it, but now Nip is going to put much more pressure on the upper rafters of garage to displace Smoke, being played by Corey. What's up, Paranoid? How's it going, dude?
That's coming out. They are playing pretty patient. They are playing deep into the clock.
All right, so
One round it did. We're at 2 minutes.
Zophia's gonna concuss Bandit through the drone hole to make sure that he can't juggle. Thatcher's gonna get the bandits off the wall, and Thermite's gonna open the wall. The bottom of garage is already open, so once this wall is open, as long as Nip watches their flank and gets smoke out of garage, they have everything they need to plant with plenty of time.
Now, I can't imagine that NIP would do much different here, so we would still wait. We'll still maybe 25, 15 seconds before we see any real push come from NIP.
Yeah, the bandit tricking wasn't successful, so you have Montaigne now coming in the garage. He's going to be
Yep, he's just gonna push straight up. There's nothing to stop him, and Hicks is down.
Towards the door to stop a second person from coming in, but with Hicks,
Smoke is dead immediately. He can't rotate out because the server wall is open. One kill is going to get confirmed, but Rise is going to refrag it. But it doesn't make much of a difference because of what's available for the attackers.
And this is a lot of action for the time. Most of these rounds, we haven't really seen much happening until sub 1 minute. So I'm really liking that we're...
So right now, what's happening? Nip has control of garage. Thermite is watching the hallway so that no one rotates into server. They know that Bandit is playing inside of Cache. They just don't know where Echo is. They're going to see that Echo is playing at the top of main stairs once they drone. And once that happens, they're going to in my opinion, I think what's going to happen is Zophia's going to watch over Kamikaze while he plants. Psycho is going to push into Cache and block the door so that no one can rotate from the left side of the site. And Pino is most likely going to try to hold Echo in place or push him for the kill so that he can't use his Echo drones to deny the plant. But with so much time, I would imagine that they're just going to wait. Like, the attackers won't actually push so far. They're just going to hold angles because the Echo drones can't stop the time for that long.
Getting a little bit more aggressive now. There's a little bit more, like I said, that internal clock. You know, we have to make sure that we just can't sit around and wait all the time. We have to be a little bit more unpredictable.
Alfama's trying to bring his Echo drones into position, but Thermite saw that. He can't move it now, and Thermite's probably going to shoot it, which he just did. Just rotating to a different angle to see it. So here we go. Psycho's going to push up. Aces does pick up the kill on someone flanking, but all Psycho has to do is hold the door and hold Bandit in place. But a C4 got thrown out by Aces. He's playing this great with a little bit of misplay from Psycho. Nip lose the round. Nip didn't time that as well as they could have.
NIP was going to have another victory.
Yeah, and Aces definitely held that down with Bandit. He held down Cash over his life, and it paid off for his team. You know, phenomenal play for him. The red and
that's what I'm saying. He said, there's a reason that man is their kill leader.
Like, that round was all in Nip's favor.
So the next site is going to be Church in Arsenal Room.
LeStream should not have won that round, but great individual performance from certain players enables them to win the round.
He's going to be key on this defense.
And were we just wrong about what kind of frag potential that Psycho has? Is this really more Kamikaze's game? And that
No,
maybe
I'm not going to say that because stats give people the tunnel vision on just that one player. So, I mean, he's playing his role. Of course, he's falling. But, I mean, you're not able to get all these kills and look so pretty on the stat board if your teammates are doing what to help you out. Right. I mean, ultimately, this is a team game. Like, when Laxton goes off and gets an amazing clutch, you're going to have to question, okay, you know, his teammates, they're utilizing drones and calling people out for him. It's really a team game. Can't really walk in there like a one-man army.
And we haven't talked too much or mentioned too much about Muzi.
Muzi's been playing well. Everybody's playing their role really well on NIP. But really, the big standout player to me is...
So, LeStream right now picking the exact same operators. And Nip is most likely going to attack it the exact same way. They've already droned everything out. Corey isn't playing up off-site this time. Most likely just to try to solidify their hold because there's a lot of different places to hold. Hicks wants to keep this hatch closed because he couldn't keep Moto hatch closed, and he's anticipating that Thatcher is going to do the exact same thing as before. Aces is going to try to keep kitchen hatch closed, and they're just waiting to open everything up. Unfortunately, the Cade tricking isn't going to work, but it looks like Hicks is there this time. Let's see if he can stop it. Nope. Thatcher's used appropriately. Are there, if there, I just want to know if there are any holes left, or excuse me, any Thatchers left to prevent that from being opened up. But as you can see, Pulse is playing on the west side using his Pulse scanner to try to get any C4 kills that he can, which is definitely possible. And now Churchwall is starting to get opened up, and he's able to impact trick one of the Hibanas off, but he's not going to be able to impact trick the other. As far as I can tell. Yeah, not able to. So Hicks is effectively trapped in this corner, but it doesn't matter. Hicks in this position is irrelevant because the attacker's point in opening this is to have the angle from the main stairs all the way through Church. So right now, no defenders can play in Church other than in this corner. With what they've opened up already, Nip just needs to drone, see where Hicks is, take control of blue, and push through the door.
Next, I would say 20 seconds.
Oh, easily.
But nobody's been taken off the board yet.
Right. But NIP has shown
So no one's supposed to be playing in Church at that moment. Pino gets the kill. The Capital Bolts tried to displace the person in blue. Aces gets the kill instead. Pino wins the fight versus Hicks. Aces picks up another kill. And now in this 3v2 scenario, the attackers just need to double up and go for the plant.
Moving into the site, Aces able to hold things down, taking out Psycho. Nice little headshot there.
15 seconds left. NIP, are they going to be able to make this quick? It's a 3v1. This should be a finish.
Rivs is trying to come around the corner to kill somebody that was peeking in the Church. Prone, but with 6 seconds left to go. Aces, what are you going to have to do? Pino's going to go ahead and take him out. That's going to be the Brazilians.
Nip had drones placed for that call out on the main stairs. They could probably also hear someone running above.
If they can get to that position where they have all 5 members of their team up, all 5 operators right there, they can get into that muscle memory of what they've been practicing. It's been shown over and over.
As you can see, okay, so you saw Pino that last round. You saw Pino going upstairs. And you might ask yourself, why is he going upstairs there? It's because there's a drone positioned that's calling out that Aces is flanking above. But whoever's IGLing or giving callouts in that moment told everyone to push site. Because in a 3v2, if you know one defender is off site, you need to push the other defender before he can get into position to flank, which is exactly what happened. So that's just good. That's just good communication there to say, no, push site. Everyone push site now. Julio pushes the Moto door. Pino holds the hallway, picks up the kill, and then they push in to go for the plant and then cover their flank.
That wasn't going to be the case. There was a huge, I think it was 64%, said that LeStream was going to end up winning. And right now, going into round 11, it's 5-5. Anybody's game.
Also, one thing to point out for LeStream is that the Cade isn't working, but they're consistently still trying to do it, which forces Julio to use multiple Thatchers to open up one hatch. What's up, Serpa? How's it going, man? So in a sense, because Cade's being brought, LeStream is bottlenecking attacker utility.
When they've been able to do that, that's an advantage that they feel like, okay, we're going to be able to win this.
And he fakes the thermite there.
And why you see now, we're at a minute 40. All operators are still up. They're still going to
Cade's still trying to go for it, but the Thatchers are just too good. And Julio's going to pick off Hicks trying to rotate back because he's just pre-firing through the hatchback towards Moto because he knows Hicks is trying to
Well, you're not gonna have a early
Cade juggle that.
on this site right here because the roam play isn't gonna be heavy. Most people are gonna be down in the site.
The bans for the map were Twitch, Maverick, Valkyrie, and who was the other defender that got banned? It wasn't Maestro or Echo. I can't remember who the other ban was at the moment. Julio should still have a Thatcher in his hand.
Internal clock now is just ticking, tick, 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 tick. When we get to that 30-second mark, it's that pressure. You're going to start feeling that in your chest because that plan that you've been thinking about all game long has got to happen. And now we're at a 5v3. Here comes that push.
Yeah, Kamikaze, he's going absolutely big, getting the kill, getting another kill. It's Rise able to get a double kill of his own, leading it in a 2v1. Ace is getting a headshot on Pinos now. 10 seconds left to go. You see Rise utilizing Pulse over in blue right now, trying to find a way through these kill holes. The diffuser's currently going down. You have 4 more seconds left to go. 2 more seconds left in the round.
Oh,
that's gonna be it. Julio.
There it is.
Yep.
Get the headshot on Rise.
What did I tell you? This is the NIP.
Who was the other defender that got banned? I'm trying to remember.
The plan is simple. Keep everybody up. Keep them up as long as you can. Get those 5v5s, 5v4 team fights. No one is beating.
I can't remember at the moment, but pretty much blue pressure, moto pressure, main stairs pressure, push site. That's the attackers right there. Oh, it was Mira. That's right. Mira was the other ban.
We're going to go to overtime. We're going to go to gym and bedroom. It's going to be the second time we see this site.
I want to talk about LeStream.
It is. It's not impossible to trick the hatches, Serpa. But against a good team, you're never going to be able to. Unless Thatcher's used his Thatchers for something else, which a good team won't. They're bringing Thatcher for Cade, specifically. LeStream has brought Echo, I believe, but they're not bringing Maestro because they obviously are committed to this Cade tricking, which, like I said, does sort of bottleneck the Thatchers. They can't use Thatchers to get rid of Legion Mines. They can't use Thatchers to get rid of Jaeger devices, which is why you see Capitao trying to, use his arrows in blue instead of them trying to throw grenades or flashbangs or anything like that. So, like, the Cade serves a purpose, and they're trying to play that style of Thatcher bottlenecking, Legion Mines being spread out, and then, obviously, they can't stop anything that Capitao can do. But what they can do is at least make Thatcher use his Thatchers for one specific purpose and use multiple of them so that they can't, like, Thatcher the doorway before they push in through it. Yeah, they're not going to be able to Cade trick a hatch with the way that NiP is playing and are prepared for it. But LeStream have the same setup here with the castles, and the last time what happened was Zofia went to try to open the castles, but they didn't have server control. So if NiP takes server control, then they can push the way they're supposed to, which is opening up the castles, displacing Bandit, and opening the wall. So they're able to open the wall using the Zofia charges to make sure Bandit cannot juggle. And they obviously have Thatcher there as well. Hicks is going to be playing inside of Cache to prevent the push, and they have holes all the way from Cache towards, all the way from Cache towards Jim, and probably that shotgun has the least damage drop off. So that is the gun you want in that position.
Julio is able to stop Alfama from picking up a kill on Muzi. So that's going to be big, helping out your teammate, getting a revive, and now you're looking at a 5v3 scenario.
You talked about it. You said you weren't going to normally see a lot
These trades are just ridiculous at the moment. because they're just their LeStream is desperately trying to make something happen and gain like an advantage and try to be able to like isolate where the attackers are coming from, but they can't. Right now, Hicks really seriously just needs to watch towards Jim, but it's not looking good because if you have one attacker outside the wall, one outside the windows, and then the other two pushing through sight wherever they want, there's no way for the defense to win here unless they just win outrageous gunfights. And with the amount of time left, Nip is they're just crossing their T's, dotting their I's, you know, making sure that they can go for plants, making sure no one's on main stairs. Oh, Hicks. Oh. Okay, so they've alleviated a little bit of pressure because Nip is sort of using up their time to try to figure out where the attackers are. Yeah, here we go. So Psycho comes up, takes down Cade, and they know that Jaeger has to be somewhere by office, and they win that. So Nip win that game. It's not that Serpa, it's not that they had such little like sight presence. It's that they lost 2 bodies for the sacrifice of 1 pushing out the thermite wall, which is something you should never do. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but you know, Aces gets killed by a Claymore trying to flank the balcony. And then 2 more defenders try to push out the wall to alleviate that pressure. It was never